banks together as ego and power rather than economics. What do you mean by that?
Well, I think actually the context of that quote was what all this acquisition activity that occurred prior to the crisis and growing these institutions. And I think, yeah, sometimes the acquisitions were not based on what made economic sense, but just building, you know, a bigger financial institution. And each time those acquisitions occur, there's another round of bonuses and pay increases. And the bigger the institution, the bigger your pay package. So yeah, I do think that some of this has been driven by ego and compensation, and not so much about, you know, whether it presents a good shareholder value, good economic value to have institutions this large and complex and difficult to manage.
Let me ask you about the worst case scenario. There's an institution, it's failing, it has to be wound down. The FDIC now has a resolution authority. That's supposed to give regulators the tools to do that worst case scenario. Is the concern that that hasn't been tested, or maybe that's not enough, or we shouldn't be in that situation to start with?
Well, I think there's still market skepticism about whether the regulators will have the will to use it. And I think, you know, the FDIC, the Fed, the Treasury all need to speak vocally, continually, that those tools will be used, that too big to fail is over. And if a large institution gets into trouble, it's either going into bankruptcy or a Title II process, which is basically a government-run bankruptcy process. I think the FDIC in the near term has presented a viable plan using a top-down strategy to take control of the holding company. That would work if we had a near-term failure. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't see any failures in the near term. Longer term, though, I think the Fed and the FDIC need to use their powers that they have under Title I and Title II to make these banks at least simplify their legal structures, align their business operations with their legal structures, so it makes it easier to break them up if they get into trouble.